Hi, thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Mike Cosentino, and I am here on behalf of the Wiley Resource Center. Um, this is a call-in program, and so if you are interested in calling in and participating in our discussion tonight, please contact the number at the bottom of the screen there. It's at 312-738-1060. Tonight we have here with us Ron Caston, who works with the Veteran Benefits section of the Legal Assistance Foundation. How are you doing tonight, Ron?
Okay.
Thank you very much for being here with us. Like I said, again, this is a call-in program, so if you have questions for Ron throughout our discussion, please feel free to call us at the phone number at the bottom of the screen. So, Ron, to get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Legal Assistance Foundation?
Well, Legal Assistance Foundation is like one of the oldest providers of free legal services in Chicago, and actually we now serve Cook County, and it was funded primarily through Legal Services Corporation. It's a poverty law agency. We provide services mostly for people, the agency for people within 150% of poverty. So we're talking about serving poor people, and we do civil legal issues.
Exclusively?
Yeah, no criminal issues, and but just about any civil issue we can do, and
Mm-hmm.
no personal injury lawsuits or anything like that. That strictly goes to the private bar.
Right.
We're doing things. Well, the basic areas that we cover are like we do consumer issues, bankruptcy, credit collection issues, foreclosure. We have a special project that handles foreclosure issues and questions.
Mm-hmm.
We do some family law, which primarily relates to domestic violence, and we do some divorce referrals, what people call us about divorce issues, and unemployment benefits. Can consider those, employment discrimination, and housing issues like landlord-tenant eviction questions, especially people in subsidized housing
Yeah.
and CHA Section 8. And what I do is public benefits, which we do Social Security, veterans benefits, which is something we do here,
Right.
TANF,
What is
DHS.
TANF?
TANF is like temporary assistance to needy families. It's for families like through Department of Human Services, public
Mm-hmm.
aid, public aid benefits for families.
Right.
And SNAP, which is the food stamp program now, what it's called. So those are the
Okay.
kind of things we do. I'm a paralegal. I've been at this agency, Legal Assistance Foundation, now called through LAF,
Mm-hmm.
for many years, over 20 years. Actually almost 30. So, but and I've been in various aspects of the agency. Like we had neighborhood offices, mostly doing public benefits because paralegals can do Social Security administrative hearings,
Right.
public benefit hearings,
Right.
actually VA hearings also, and unemployment. We paralegals are able to do because those are administrative processes, so we can do those.
Right. And so kind of tying that back to LAF's ability to manage these cases, is that limited in some way? What you're talking about, or do you see a case from start to finish?
Oh, we probably will. Yeah. Well, they come in through our intake line. We have an intake line 312-341-1070, and in the intake process, they'll take the information and decide if they can advise and refer right then, or
Mm-hmm.
get more information and take it to like one of these practice group case meetings to decide how far they'll go with it. So some they will go from start to finish and go to court on,
Oh,
but not, our resources are such that we can't do that on every case. We have to really consider the priorities that the agency has as far as the cases we really want to target,
mm-hmm.
and the case itself, the merits of the case, what we think we can make a difference or not. So yeah, we can go from start to finish. It could just be advice. It really depends on the situation and what's involved.
Now, is this something that will be like court mandated, or is this something that somebody's going to volunteer to enter into, a program that somebody's going to volunteer to enter
No, no,
into?
no. The legal assistance anybody can call. We're a free legal agency
Mm-hmm.
for primarily poverty people in within 150% of poverty level on their income. But now for certain projects, like our veterans projects, we get other funding besides the legal services funding
Okay.
that allows us to go beyond that, consider cases who are above that poverty level.
Okay.
So, like our foreclosure project, we have a special project for people afflicted by HIV/AIDS.
Yeah.
And with these kind of projects, we can go beyond what within the confines of the 150% of poverty. The basic thrust of the whole agency, though, is a poverty law agency to help poor people, to help them with their civil issues, and help them just to survive, in the system here.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I got you. All right. So you said that you work specifically for the veterans benefits portion of it, and you've mentioned the foreclosure aspect of LAF as well. How many facets to LAF are there?
Well, they divide it into 5 practice groups. So, which is the consumer, family law, workers' rights, which also includes immigration issues, housing, and public benefits. So that covers almost everything in a civil vein, so it's pretty wide scope as far as what we can consider to do.
I got you. So it is again, if I'm at the poverty line and I'm looking for somebody to help me with a landlord-tenant issue.
Right. You could give us a call because that's what we've been doing for 40 years plus. So, and now the veterans, beyond just the benefits part of the veterans work that we do, there's other issues specific to veterans with dealing with the VA and dealing with that system that we're involved in too. So that kind of stretches beyond the benefits vein. And actually any veteran who calls with any of these civil legal issues can be referred into one of the practice group for their issue to be considered potentially.
To go to litigation.
Yeah, potentially.
Or potentially litigation.
Yeah.
Well, then that that brings me back to sort of a main focus is what is the purpose and the mission of the organization outside of just to help poor people? I mean, what was the organization? What sort of spurred the creation of this organization?
Oh, actually, the creation of this organization goes back to the war on poverty. If people remember that, in the 60s, there was a time when this country had a war on poverty, believe it or not. And that's when this agency began, and it's through the Legal Services Corporation eventually, but it originally started through the Office of Economic Opportunity, which was, one of the programs under the war on poverty, and they had a legal aspect to it because a lot of times people end up, or poor people can't get help, and they get screwed by the justice system.
It's
and
difficult,
and that was an acknowledgement at that time, and it's carried on through, and hopefully through a legal means you help keep people, surviving and above the, get them out of the poverty. That was the goal. Now, whether it's been achieved, it's been a lot of talk about, a lot of things, how far we've gone toward that goal. But Legal Assistance Foundation has a goal to try and help people better, live the best life they can. If they're having the legal problems, to help resolve them favorably, and seek justice if they're disabled, applying for benefits and being denied. We're representing them to get the benefits they need to survive. So things like that, if they're being evicted unfairly, representing that if they've been charged with CHA with something that's, not fair, if they CHA is, a lot of times there's, it's personal things. We're there to represent these people.
Right. So is this sort of like the answer to like a public defender in a criminal suit?
Right. It's kind of like the civil variation of the public defender. Now, with a public defender, you have a right to an attorney.
Right.
We're an agency just by our resources. We can't serve and go to court and follow everyone's issue. We have to, because of the volume, decide what's a good issue, what we think we can make a difference on. And that's what the priorities are.
Right. Well, then I guess that kind of leads me to my next question: is what are the benefits of signing up with LAF or coming to LAF for assistance besides the help, the
Well,
free
that's
help?
our main thing. I mean, we're free. I we're competent.
Yeah.
We've been doing this a long time, and we have people who've been here a long time. So hopefully, at worst, you come out with more information about your issue and what the possibilities are and where you really stand in the thing. Sometimes you are kind of in a bind, but other times there are things and there's avenues that you could explore or where we can help you with or go to court with or whatever to address the problem that you're coming with. So I mean, we're free. It's like we're there to serve people, and we've never really lacked for clients. We've had
Hmm.
too many because the need is overwhelming, and our what we're trying to do is address a huge need.
So you keep talking about certain cases get to it sounds like a board for
Mhm.
decision making on
Right,
whether or not
other
they're going to.
attorneys, like it's yeah.
What is that? What's entailed in that decision making process that says this case is one that we'd like to take to
Well, the
court?
facts, always the facts and the law, those are the things.
Right.
So it's the facts of the case, and it's, there's a group of people who decide it. So you
Hmm.
have different people's opinions and experiences, and usually there's attorneys who've been doing this for like at least 10 years or better
Right.
involved, as well as newer attorneys. So it's a learning process for the staff as well as discerning what we can help with and what we just can't, we don't see that we can make a difference on.
Now, is it like you'll pick up a cause, or is it more, oh, this
No,
one's a
it's
winner?
yeah, no, it's like I said, it's addressing issues. What we'd ideally like to hit is issues that affect a wider range of individuals.
Hmm.
So that is like, can impact the most people, get the biggest bang for the buck, sort of. And that would be probably a priority is when we can help the most number of individuals in a case too. But it's also just individually. Sometimes there's certain cases that like cry out for justice
Oh,
too. That
absolutely.
somebody's got to do something, and so those cases, it's a decision making process. So
Oh,
it's
right.
always got its like personal aspects to it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I just want to make uh, to clarify for our audience, that um, that LAF, they are interested in picking up, maybe a cause or something like that.
Hmm.
If there's a civil injustice, which we were kind of talking about a couple of weeks ago with like the landlord tenancy issues too.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
taking a disadvantaged
Right.
tenant.
Right. And especially with subsidized housing, a lot of times when you're going to evict somebody from subsidized housing, they don't really have a lot of other options. So, this is something we're going to look at really seriously because you're taking away somebody's maybe only chance for stable housing.
Right.
So that's something we really look at.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Um, so then, now that we kind of understand what LAF is looking for, how would one go about accessing the help?
Well, you could call our intake line, which is 312-341-1070. And
I'll throw that up
and
here.
people will assist you there. They get your information, and then they'll refer it. Like if it's a veteran benefits or even a veteran related issue, it'll be sent through me. I'm a paralegal here. I'll get more facts and stuff to, see how we might help or what we can do with it. Sometimes it's a referral someplace or a call to an agency, another agency, or the VA is a whole other issue sometimes to reach somebody in their benefit, particularly um, you know, when you're having a VA overpayment, it's kind of hard to reach people, and it could be pretty important a lot of times because they're going to be taking money out of your check or your whole check. It's kind of like the main thing I tell people is when you get a notice, don't disregard it.
Right.
And the problem is sometimes people change addresses and they miss notices, because if Social Security or VA is looking to collect or say you owe money, if they don't hear from you, sometimes they'll kind of ring your bell by taking the whole check, and
Right.
you want to enter in a dialogue or call like another agency, like our agency, to double check this overpayment, and then worse, it comes to worse and you owe it, to come up with some kind of reasonable payment system. Because I just had a call today where they just take the whole check, and the
Right.
person, they're hard to reach, and then sometimes if you move, you're not getting the notices. So
Right.
yeah, the thing is to to not ignore the notices that you get from these agencies, particularly if you're receiving public benefits.
Um. So who is eligible for the help of LAF?
Yeah, well, like I said, for generally the agency's poverty law, it's 150% of poverty. If you're below that level, this is who we're directed to serve.
Mm-hmm.
But with certain programs like the Veterans Program,
Right.
we can help people beyond that. We'll look at and consider cases beyond that, because we get other funding, non-legal service funding, that will allow us to do that. So we consider cases of people beyond that. We can consider things. So it's like, when in doubt, I say people should call, because we'll sort it out as to your eligibility. When it comes to your specific issue, we can't help people generally making a lot of money.
Right. Right. Well,
Or
obviously.
personal injuries, because you'll get those too. We're not like, there you have to get your private attorney to
Oh, yeah,
pursue it.
absolutely, absolutely. But so just for my own understanding and for our viewers' understanding, essentially the threshold is that 150% poverty line.
Generally, but like I said, with veterans, with people who suffer from HIV/AIDS, with on the foreclosure issue, and there might be other issues, certain ones that we get other funding for, we go beyond that, because we're, then we don't have those restrictions, or we might have like higher restrictions, 300% of poverty or something like that.
Right.
But so generally, I'd say call, and they will sort it out as to your eligibility.
Now, to be able to contact you, obviously, we put up the phone number. But are there other outreach programs that LAF
Yeah, actually,
offers?
for our veterans project, we have an outreach program where we'll go and do kind of be accessible for walk-ins and intake at the Community Resource and Referral Center, which is part of the VA. It's over on 1151 South California. It's right around the corner from Safe Haven. So it's around Roosevelt in California. And we're there every third Thursday afternoon. And if people walk in, or you can call our intake number and make an appointment, we can see you there, rather than, otherwise we're located downtown at 120 South LaSalle on the 9th floor. So hopefully it's more accessible. And actually the VA, the Jesse Brown VA, I know, runs a bus between that Community Resource and Referral Center and Jesse Brown. So sometimes if you're at Jesse Brown, you can come over and talk to us on Thursday. It's the third Thursday of the month. So next Thursday is September 18th that we're going to be there.
Well, awesome. That's nice that it's so soon. Is there any other community involvement that?
Yeah, we'll come out and talk. We do resource fairs, and we'll come out and talk. Actually, the agency as a whole, LAF, has people available for each one of these like civil issues to come out and talk, like about housing law, family law, consumer, workers' rights, things like that. And of course, we'll come out with the veterans to talk about veterans issues, veteran benefits, discharge issues, which we're looking at also, and things like that. And actually, I just want to mention that we're going to be starting a new initiative that we got funding from the Illinois Department of Veteran Affairs, the Veterans Cash Scratch-Off Ticket, to assist female veterans and victims of military sexual trauma, which affects female and male veterans. So we're going to have a special initiative that we're going to be starting fairly soon to directed to assist those individuals.
Nice. And then, how frequently is that? I mean, is that a frequent thing where we'll see LAF out in the community?
Yeah, I hope so. I guess we're supposed to do it. So, I mean, we have a community engagement unit that develops contacts with, and I understand because, I don't always know everything that's going on in there, but like there's contacts throughout this county, as far as us going out and sometimes doing, presentations regarding the law, regarding what we do. So people, if organizations have questions or want us to come out or talk about it, they should call, I guess they could call the intake number at 312-341-1070.
Again, I'll post that number here.
Also, and there's different opt-outs on that automated line that maybe you could get a hold of somebody to, to set up or discuss us coming out and talking about whatever civil legal issue you would want us to talk about.
Right. Now, we talked about location of where LAF is actually located. You said there's one on California.
Well, that's every third Thursday. That's just a sort of a clinic we do every third Thursday over at 1151 South California. But the main office is 120 South LaSalle, the ninth floor of that building. And we also have some other clinics. We have a Micah clinic in Logan Square, and we also have a Woodlawn clinic that's kind of staffed with a private attorney who volunteer to staff these. But I don't have all the information about when they're available. But there is something in Woodlawn and something in Logan Square at Micah Clinic.
Excellent. That was exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Just in case there's somebody out there that is maybe
You
the
could
Chicago
call
office.
for more information. Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. How can people from the community get involved in LAF?
Yeah, that would be more like a community engagement. We have private attorneys, like retired attorneys, who volunteer, so we get some assistance that way.
Right.
And, otherwise, people could, call us and see if they wanted to, be involved somehow.
Yeah, is there a way that
providing
people
the
can
services.
volunteer their time to help out LAF in any way?
Yeah, possibly. That's like somebody else's decision.
Right.
I don't know. I know it's probably available, but yeah, they'd have to call. People who have legal experience, especially, like attorneys,
Right.
possibly paralegals too.
Right,
could
and
call.
it's all pro bono, so this would add to their
And
pro bono
particularly
hours.
veterans. I mean, we'd be interested in hearing if somebody wanted to help us out and had some legal experience, and maybe some was a veteran. We'd like to hear, on a volunteer basis.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, I guess before we wrap up, my last question for you: are there any new projects that LAF is working on, or anything that you're particularly proud of that's new and recent?
Well,
with
I
LAF?
think, like I mentioned, this outreach and this initiative to assist female veterans, victims of military sexual trauma, I think that isn't like an underserved area that we're looking to hope to, help people with.
Oh,
And those are tough
absolutely.
issues to deal with,
Absolutely.
and often delayed issues. People delay treatment, and so that's something that I think is a needed development that we're going to try and do. We also have a discharge regarding discharge upgrades. I wanted to mention this because it's kind of another niche that it's hard to find assistance with. We have a booklet actually that we can send about do it yourself for discharge upgrades, but we would consider and kind of hearing people who have discharge issues, because discharge, a less than honorable discharge can keep you totally out of the VA benefit world, like health care and VA benefits.
Right.
And even a general discharge, which is like general under honorable, will keep keep you away from education benefits, which are vital too. So,
Right.
so we were kind of looking at this, particularly because actually there's just been another.
Ron, I hate to cut you off, but we're down to 15 seconds here.
Okay, there's been another finding about PTSD. When PTSD was involved in the discharge, led to the behavior that caused the discharge. We'd really
Right.
like to hear.
Well, any more questions, direct your phone calls to the number provided earlier. My name is Mike Cosentino. Thank you very much to Ron
Thanks.
Casson for coming and joining us tonight. Have a good evening.